Welcome to the Love Pod, where inspiration, vision, and real connection come alive. Wherever you are, you belong here.
Welcome to the Love Pod, everyone. I am Nathaniel, your host for today. I am really pleased to welcome a special guest, Brandon Smith, who I had the privilege of meeting as a brother on school. Brandon is a former U.S. Marine who specializes in helping people to overcome distractibility, gain mental momentum. And Brandon, you were the first one who I ever heard that the opposite of distraction is traction. And I really think that's really such an important thing to look at. You know, in an age where people get pulled in so many directions, what you're doing is really helping people overcome probably one of the biggest problems of our times. And I know you have a really powerful story to tell and to share. So, welcome to the show, brother. I'd love for you to just introduce yourself and tell us more about why you do what you do.
Thank you very much for having me, Nathaniel. And uh, I know he gave me quite a bit of an intro, which I'm very grateful for. So I'm Brandon Smith, former U.S. Marine. Um, so the reason why I am doing what I do now is because of the past struggles that I've actually had behind closed doors. You might think to yourself, like if you see me as a Marine, I carry that title around me wherever I go, and um, a lot of people have some notion or belief that Marines are or people who come from the military are this super disciplined, super focused kind of people. And I'm here to say that there's a lot of people, especially coming from that background, that might not be not as disciplined or as focused or as structured as you might think, at least in my experience. So I went through a lot of existential crises when it comes to my own self-discipline in my life. Even though I had structure within the military, there was a lot of imposed discipline in my life, especially going into recruit training and boot camp and combat training and things like that. There were a lot of things that were behind closed doors that I was like really struggling with when it comes to distractions and even as far as addictions. We live in a world now in the 21st century where like distractions are bombarding us 24/7 with the internet and things like that, and we don't know how to filter signal and noise. We don't know how to focus on what truly matters in our lives. We don't know how to provide a good, meaningful structure in our lives that can move in the needle that we should move towards. And like there's only so many things we could do in our lives because we have such a finite ability to be able do to do so much. And for me, I just had a so I struggled and behind closed doors. I was distracted. I was addicted with pornography. I was addicted to doom scrolling with playing video games and some of these things might seem superficial for some people, but I'm telling you that these can be worse problems than you might realize. At least for me, it was a detriment to my mental health. It was a detriment to my ability to make good relationships and connections with other people, and I isolated myself from the world and uh from my friends and family. So it really took a toll on my life. So that's kind of the reason why I want to help more people with this problem, because there are plenty of people out there that are truly struggling, and I want to be able to provide hope for people.
That's amazing, Brennan. And you know, it's funny you said existential crisis. I feel like, well, especially with people in the services and the military. You know, one of my friends I met when we were in Arizona. I've encountered a lot of people from the military too. Like this is
Yeah.
that's real, you know. And I mean, we're in a time where a lot of people do, you know, whether it's from PTSD or just that overwhelming sense of addiction. I mean, we see a lot of people who either achieve high levels of things in life or have been wounded do not only come out the other side through the existential crisis. So I think what you're doing is really important, and also just is you're also a living example of transformation. Someone who has, gone through your own transformation, and now you're helping other people. Do you want to talk a little bit more about how that journey unfolded for you, and how you're using everything you learned to help people through the work that you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that I think to start off is setting foundations is that um I just had to first off have the self-awareness to be able to understand the problems that I'm going through. So when I was going through these addictions, these distractions, we might not realize that they become a problem. They might not be presented as a problem today or even tomorrow or next week. But when you realize how deep of a hole you dig yourself into when these things compound, you realize how much of a hole you've really dug yourself into. And then it feels like you don't know how to escape it. You don't know how to bring yourself back out of that hole. And for me, I needed to have the self-awareness that I've been digging myself into a pretty deep hole. And I needed to get myself out some way, somehow. And honestly, I genuinely could not do it alone. I think that's the biggest problem that a lot of people face is that once you realize you have that self-awareness, you realize that you dig yourself in that hole, then you need to realize how can I get myself out? But we need to take myself out of that equation and we need to bring other people to help us throughout that journey because like I said, I was isolated. I didn't reach out to anyone. I truly thought that no one would care to help me out, but I needed to take that step, that first step in just reaching out to someone. I think that's a big piece of the puzzle that a lot of people are missing. And we talk about like connection and love and I'm sure like co-creating and things like that. But there's a reason why we focus and emphasize on connection. It's because we truly cannot build the life that we want or build uh, fully go in on our true intrinsic desires without other people. And we need other people. So I needed to recognize that I needed help
Hmm.
from other people. So that was another thing. So that was a foundation I needed to understand, take that first step. So that was a big thing. And I'd say the second one is to say, okay, now that I realize that I've dug myself out in this hole, now that I can find some people that I can resonate with, that I connect with, how can I move forward with how can I truly move forward? And I think a lot of people try to realize is that or that I realize is that the time that I've been spending within my own within my own misery or like distractions, I needed to reallocate a lot of that time towards things that actually will bring good fruit in my life. Like, and so I started like focusing on habits, things that would bring myself closer to the kind of person I wanted to be, and trying to recognize that I can't really truly get rid of these habits without replacing it with another
Hmm.
or replacing it with some things that are going to bring more meaning, more fulfillment in my life that and I don't need to escape from with video games or porn or anything else that will drive me even deeper. I need to replace that and fill myself with things that will actually be be truly meaningful.
Mhm.
So I think that was another step that I had to recognize. And um, so now a lot of my time is spending with a lot more fulfilling things and the cheap dopamine and instant gratification that we often see in the world. And we're being fed it almost 24/7. So we need
Mhm.
to understand like what is truly filling me and what am I bringing into my life? What am I bringing into my mind? What am I bringing into my life that is going to be fulfilling or what is just going to be pleasurable in the moment.
Mm. Mm.
So
Yeah, there's so much there, man. Like when you talk about isolation, it's probably one of the biggest problems that we've noticed too. And certainly, the market is primed to find people who are seeking something, and so many people are seeking fulfillment. But um, we've also been really conditioned in a society to seek that outside of ourselves. I mean, whether it stems from the conditioning patterns of screen culture, that many of us are exposed to at a young age, or the educational institution where we're always sought to get that gratification from getting that grade or getting that thing that's outside of ourselves, and then we're fed a lot of what success means, and we've heard from a lot of successful people that have achieved exorbitant amounts of wealth and success, and that still hasn't fulfilled them. So there's something else that is to do with the meaning. And I think you really, spoke deeply about it when we need other people. I feel like this is what so many people are yearning for in this time. We're yearning for a deep connection with who we really are, and also with like-minded and like-hearted people, even maybe people who have divergent minds, but who stimulate us to grow and to be
mhm.
challenged. And we know we need those kinds of mentors in life. And so not only are you someone who has overcome a lot of these things, and I'm sure like any of us, it's an ongoing growth and learning, and all these challenges continue to, like, we keep growing through these challenges in our life. But you're also and I should say, and you're also a community builder. And I feel like this is a really important skill set in this modern era, because so many people have been conditioned to become consumers, especially in online contexts. And you started a community. Can you talk a little bit about that, and why that's significant to the work that you do?
Yeah, so it definitely plays a pivotal role in my business and my own personal development and journey because first of all, like we talk about the connection aspect, so community is going to be an essential part of that um, piece of the puzzle. So when I first started building this community, I didn't have an intention on starting it where it ended up now. But ultimately, what I wanted to focus on was helping people with a lot of the mental problems that they typically go through. And I had some mental health problems as well, anxiety, depression, isolation, a lot of things that stem from that. Uh, and that's the start. That was the catalyst of why I started the community in the first place, and then it just started to evolve over time and try to narrow things in and pivot to a direction that I felt was more called for me to do. Um, so it's been a journey. I've built this community for well over a year now, and so I've seen throughout this time I've seen a lot of um, I've seen a lot of ups and downs with the process because I've always trying to figure a lot of things out on my own from the start. So I didn't really have like at the start I didn't really have like a business or community mentor specifically, um, and wanted to start investing more into it. Um, and I've been graciously been been a part of programs now, and I think you know what I'm talking about, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
to truly invest in someone that really wants to see you grow. So at this point in time now, I'd say like at this point in time now, I really want to help more people who come from a similar background as I do,
Mm.
veterans, military, even people in the this first responder community, law enforcement, nursing, healthcare, EMS, people who have truly felt called to serve our nation, our country, the world, other people. I resonate with those people a lot
Mhm.
because we had a purpose. We felt like truly had a purpose in this world to serve others. And when you come out of that, for like I did, making the transition,
Mhm.
you can there is a lot of it has to do with like an identity crisis, at least for
Mm,
me. And that's what I've seen a lot of people struggle with in that community, in that background. So these are the people I want to help with the most. These
mm.
were the primary uh people. So that's what I kind of lean towards the most. Um so yeah.
I think it's a really important field, I especially in a time where there is a lot more polarity in things. I've seen lots of reports and things like we don't often consider the challenges that all those service providers that you say go through and what they're exposed to, which is often very different than what a regular citizen would be exposed to in terms
Yeah.
of seeing all kinds of people often at their worst or in their worst circumstances, the worst day of their lives. And it could take a big toll on people's mental health. And not not only to add all the political challenges that have put a lot of constraints on those people. So I think it's an awesome um, area to focus for you, Brandon. I mean, since I've known you, you've had that passion for service, and you talked about identity. I think this is something that's really really important and something we don't really often talk about. And I have all kind of more maybe ephemeral notions, but I think for this conversation, what feels most is to talk about the importance of identity with respect to how we focus our time. Because my understanding is like when you have that calling or that purpose and you are clear about what your role is and how you can focus on it, um, especially if it's in a structure, like if you are in the services and have that regularity of I know I'm showing up this time, these are my roles, and this is my thing, and I have these brothers and sisters to rely on. But when you leave that, it creates a vacuum. So how can someone go all in again in a new iteration of identity, and can you speak to why that's important in terms
Yeah.
of focus?
Yeah, right. So when a lot of people attach their identity to things that are the things that they do, they try to attach their like especially when it comes to military and first responders, there is this innate sense of identity when of things that they do. Like they perform, they have this purpose, which is great. They have this purpose with the things that they do, but like once you leave that, what's left? So I think a lot of people attach their identity to performance. They attach the things to the things that they do. And if they can't do those things, then their identity is shot.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I think that we need to understand who we truly are internally with like void of the things that you do, the things that you
Hmm.
perform for business for others. Like what is it that you like who you intrinsically are as a human being, not a human doing,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
So
So
important.
for
Yeah.
me, yeah, so for me, I need to understand like who I truly am, like void of the title of Marine.
Mhm.
Like if that was stripped away from me, what who else am I? I need to understand that. Um, and I think that's the biggest foundational piece to start with. Because if you don't know who you truly are in this world, then what else will matter outside of that? So
Hmm.
I think people are searching for something. They're trying
Hmm.
to search for answers. They're trying to search for truth and knowledge. But if you don't have that truth about yourself, then everything that you do, everything that you try to perform, like whether you're trying to meet business goals or relationship goals or fitness goals, things like that, which are great. But if you try to attach yourself to those outcomes, then you're most likely going to feel lost in this world.
Hmm. Hmm. It's a great point. I mean, so much of what people are conditioned to go and to achieve is usually happens before there's that deep connection with true self. And I mean, that's a very deep question. Who am I? I mean, some mystics go and spend years in isolation to have a real clear and direct comprehension of that and to operate from that place. But I think what you said, from my own limited experience, is like that meaning that we get from serving others and especially being in community where that connection is sought. I feel like it happens a lot faster because we know ourselves better from our interactions with others. It's almost like you can see everyone as a mirror of yourself, whether good or bad. You know, you get to know yourself through others, and but when you're scrolling and like especially on a social media outlet where it's just consumptive and everyone seems like they're living their best life because everyone's putting on that facade of the ego. It's like my life is perfect. I have an infinity pool. I travel every day of my life. I'm in a different country. It just everyone's life looks fantastic because that's how they're portraying. And then and then that isolation makes you feel even worse. I remember like maybe 5 years ago, I was like, I was subletting an apartment and I was looking at him like everyone's got an infinity pool. What am I doing wrong? I've been serving people, I've been doing social work for a long time. Like what? Where's my infinity pool? And I think what you said too is like we have perceptions of others when you were talking about service members, whether it's police officers, military, like there's this innate discipline that they have embodied and have mastered, and that so many people just assume that in others, and yet I heard this recently is like it's only a very small fraction of people, and I would say maybe even like really strong type A personalities who have that level of discipline where they don't need other people to do their thing. They're gonna get up, they're gonna run their, 30K a day, and they're gonna eat perfectly, and they're gonna and they just have this, and who knows what's the driving force, even if they're even fulfilled in that kind of, because that sounds like a lot of high achievement stress that's probably keeping them there. So the majority of us, we need companionship, whether it's a buddy to go to work out with, or a circle of people that you come and share more of who you are when dealing with addictions and stuff like that. And I really think that's the power of community. So, can you tell us a little bit about your journey into that, and like what made you decide to open a community and say I'm going to be of service? And what has that journey been like? Like what are some transformations that you've seen some people who have spent time with you and have grown in becoming more self-aware?
Yeah. So, I guess taking it back to the beginning once again, I when I fully got out of the military, I was like looking at my options in terms of career, in terms of like where I truly wanted to go, and I I had to be honest, I probably had limited options. I just didn't know what was really out there for me. So, um, initially, my first job out after my first job. This is actually like during the military. I was in the reserves, so I was doing like monthly we call it drills. So it's just one weekend a month we do our military duties. So in between that time, I was um doing university where I was pursuing an engineering degree. Got my bachelor's in that. This was around 2018 to 2021 time frame. So I pursued that, but I still didn't truly find true fulfillment in pursuing that job, and frankly I didn't know like after graduating where I would even go with that. I just didn't have a proper direction, and um so I was just trying to look for whatever would basically fill the time. So my brother originally talked with me about an opportunity at FedEx. It was just like a monthly or like a seasonal job that I could pick up. It was during the peak season of winter time, so like people are buying things for their kids and all that, and like trying to get their gifts, last minute gifts. So like FedEx was looking for people. So did that. I was a package handler for a while, and up staying there longer than I anticipated. So about 9 months instead of like just a season. So at that point, I was like, I just didn't find fulfillment. Well, obviously, I didn't really find much fulfillment in that, and it was just something to kill time. It literally was just something to kill time and make some money. And at that point, I went back to a career counselor from my school, from my university, and see where I could take it, and eventually landed on. I talked with a recruiter. I talked with him about um, finding a job as a technician for an e-commerce company. So I did that. After left FedEx, left that, went to being a test technician. Did that for about 2 years, and this was probably the point where the absolute worst, like probably a year in, and I just felt like I there was nothing left for me to like long term. This makes the same behaviors that I was doing with consumption. I kind of shifted a lot of my consumption habits towards more personal development stuff at this time. So I was just looking up more YouTube videos about self-improvement, things like that to really get out of my head, get out of my situation. Um, Probably a lot. I was definitely consuming a lot more than I should, but going in this direction, I was just trying to do some searching online to see like what is out there for me and how can I actually find improvements in my life. Eventually stumbled on Alex Hermosi, a business content creator. Um, Back in 2023, this was probably near the start of um, discovering business, discovering true personal development, and there was just a lot of information that he was presenting, and like the value he was providing was unlike anything else I'd seen within YouTube and or otherwise. So that just got me curious about business in particular.
Hmm.
So and personal development, of course, alongside of that. So while I was working this job, I was still consuming all of this content, trying to absorb the information. And at this time, he was talking about school. He was an
Hmm.
investor in school back in late 2023. And I didn't immediately jump into it. It was just like it was like a call to action to talk about school and all that. So I was curious about it, but didn't really jump ship into it entirely. It was probably about a few months when he was really talking about it, and I was really thinking to myself, like, should I start a community myself? Should I maybe there's something here for me, perhaps.
Hmm.
So I guess a few months after like hearing about school, I finally made that point to jump right into it. Not really as a community owner per se, but just being involved in the platform,
Yeah.
being involved in other communities and learning more about um, what it really is to be someone who runs a community, to be involved in one. Because at this time, I like right before this, like I said, I was in my isolation period. I
Hmm.
wasn't really talking to many people. Even like I didn't really talk to much of my coworkers either. I just wanted to like do my work and go home. That's pretty much it. And so I definitely needed I needed to find community for sure. That was probably like the true catalyst to finding people and building connections with people.
Hmm.
So that was the very start for me.
That's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that it was I affectionately call him Bro Mosey because
Burmese.
it's funny because he is the reason I'm in school as well, but it happened a little bit more I guess mystically for me. I did not really know who he was. I just remember seeing this
Yeah.
guy a couple times on my Facebook feed, and I did
Uh-huh.
it was a different kind of sponsored ad that I'd never seen before. And I remember first few times I said, I don't remember friending this guy. And then I looked really close and said, oh, sponsored. I'm like, oh, I've never seen an ad like this. And I remember maybe a few times later he was wearing a school hat. I'm like, school, okay, that's like another educational platform. Sounds like um, and I mean, I'd already really pivoted from being on social media really at all. I would just go in every once in a while, and we had, had our uh, we were making a life on Vancouver Island, and I remember just putting a few videos of becoming a father and stuff. So I'd just go on once in a while to kind of check in, but I had already grown such a distaste of the um, just the relentless like advertisements and stuff. But I did remember one video that I saw him come up, and he was just talking about how isolated he felt as an entrepreneur, and that no one would talk to him until he had had any modicum of success, and how he wanted to change that. And I see that, that paradigm in his works, and I remember feeling like, wow, I exactly feel like this, because I had built like my foray into like personal development stuff was like Tony Robbins. I was, my friend invited me during the first ever like online date with Destiny. That was my first foray into personal development. Before, I was just doing my own things, probably living more of a mystical kind of life, like going in the forest and doing a lot of meditation and just contemplation and stuff. And that event really changed things for me. But then after, I tried like reaching out to Tony and, like seeing what was there, and it was a huge investment just to get into being like an inner circle. And I was really participating, but I always felt like just this number, tossed around kind of thing. And it's no fault of any of these like people who have built these massive companies. I mean, they can't obviously, but I think what I felt from him was like, so many of us are looking for fulfilling that purpose, and we know we need the mentorship, we know we need that, and that it's hard to find um in a someone who's on a stage. Like, we need it more localized, and I think that's the power of community, because I'm sure that as you've grown as a community developer, um you have found some of those relationships can be so fulfilling, and in a mutual sense, right? It's like you're not on some guru on a stage that's like, giving people talks and then zipping off to your helicopter after. It's like you really get to develop these deep rapport with people in a community sense. And I feel like it's so refreshing. And school has definitely brought a huge service to the world in that, in terms of that. So anyways, you and I have this in common. It was actually, he ended up appearing in a couple dreams of mine before I even looked at what the platform was. And I think this is one of the beautiful things of school, is like, because I think there's this assumption, oh, it's an educational platform, it's called school, and for some people it's like, I don't need another Kajabi, or I don't need another thing. And then for other people, it's like, well, I don't like school. I didn't like going to school, so I'm not going to go on school. And so a lot of people are confused about what school is, which I think is genius, because it's allowed many of us who have been kind of guided there in one way or another, who want to serve people, who want to contribute and make the world a lighter place, whether it's helping people with their overcoming their mental challenges, overcoming distraction, really finding traction in their purpose, because I really feel like we all have something that's in our soul, that's in our beingness. You talked about that beingness, that like there's a purpose that we are here, it's intrinsically tied to our being. It's not so much about achievement, but it's really about not that I got this award, but I impacted this many lives. And so, can you talk about like a day in the life of Brandon Smith today, in contrast to like maybe that Brandon who was, what does it feel like to wake up having that sense of purpose, knowing that there's people in a community who you're helping and you're benefiting, you're walking them through their journey?
Yeah.
What's that journey like?
Yeah, so I guess a good contrast is being, I guess, like ha putting on this entrepreneurial mindset has also been a big factor, because I'm always looking to problem solve. And when I put myself in that position, I I have to put this hat on of like, well, okay, what am I going to do today that's going to solve these problems, rather than, in contrast, before I had this mindset of doing what I do now is mostly about this, doing the day to day, go wake up, eat breakfast, go to work, you know, play video games, scroll,
Hmm.
and sleep. So like I didn't really it's like the purpose aspect has been a major shift. And like a lot of the day-to-day life for me, like it's not nothing extravagant, right? Like there's a lot of boring inputs that I do, and I'm sure you might relate to this too. Like in terms of the game of business, there could be a lot of boring aspects to it, but there's also uh there's a reason why we do it in the first place. Like there's a purpose and a mission behind why we do this. And I think that carries weight. Um, so a lot of my day-to-day life right now is not nothing glorified, nothing like you see on social media. It's I mean, I'm in my room a lot, but I also connect with a lot of people as well
Hmm.
throughout this process. So there's just definitely been um on the surface, on the outside, it doesn't look like much. But
Hmm.
for me, fulfilling this purpose on the inside makes me feel like, okay, what I'm doing actually matters.
Yeah.
So
I,
the
I
yeah,
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I
that's all
think
right.
there's a lot of profoundness in that, and I feel like it's kind of like it's stark contrast to the chasing the dopamine, right? Because when you're chasing the dopamine, you're constantly looking, and you can watch someone from a bird's eye view who's like they're running to this thing and doing this, and then running to this thing and doing that, and they're like running all around. And then someone who's just like a pillar of focus and concentration, yeah, they might be sitting there, you know, focusing. I mean, it doesn't have to be in a screen. I mean, I think of, years gone by, the prolific writers of our time, the 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 leaders who go and they show up in the same work environment every day, and they make sure things are functioning. The advanced spiritual servants of our world, a lot of people don't realize, like, there's such contrast in the human experience. I know there are some devoted meditators who go into particular areas that are where there are, focused energies where the ley lines cross and the earth is, they say the veils are thinner, and they maintain a higher state of vibration in those areas to keep kind of the consciousness of the planet together, and they devote their whole lives to meditating, like in spaces like this. And that might look like the most boring life in the world, to go and like just be, in a peaceful state, or to be a community builder that people can come to, and you're there, and you're reliable, and you're consistent. And who knows where that consistent action is going to lead 10 years from now, 5 years from now. I mean, you could very well be running retreats where people gather around you, and it might again look like you're not, maybe, flying a jet all over the world and doing all this crazy stuff, but you're impacting lives, when you are a person who cares, who is there, and who is also building something that is going to provide a impact that has also legacy and can live beyond us, right? And I feel like that's when we're going to always find true fulfillment. One thing I did learn from Tony Robbins is, like, we've all heard this, like, you have to grow in order to be happy, and that's maybe the achievement side. Like, we all do need to have some level of achievement in our life to feel good about ourselves, but where we really find fulfillment is in our relationships and in contributing to other people. And it doesn't, I feel like there's this, we tend to like idolize, like, people and put on a stage. Like, you don't have to go and do something, in front of a billion people, but you could be the most loving person in a space. You could be the person who changes the sheets in an organization, and when you're doing it with upliftment and laughter, and lifting the spirits of all those people who are in those residences, probably because they don't want to be, like, that can have huge impacts. And so I think building a community where you're also imparting all these profound skills about, like, overcoming distraction. Like, I can't think of one probably over distraction and isolation are probably two of the biggest problems that I feel especially the West faces. So, do you have a higher vision for how you'd like to see your community to evolve and expand, or you just going with the flow? What is your North Star and
Yeah,
yeah.
good. Yeah, really good question. So I've had these thoughts before, and like seeing like my long-term vision behind it, and frankly, like over the past few months, like I've been wrestling with this and seeing like where I will be long term, and um so I don't know. I really don't know like where it's going to be long term, but I'm trusting in the process of if I can if I could even help one person or two people or 10 people within the next month and
Hmm.
let that drive my direction, then so be it.
Hmm.
So I think like a long-term vision, I think having a long-term vision is amazing. But if there's so many ways we I think there's going to be times we're going to end up pivoting in multiple directions. Um, so I guess for me, I've had to, I guess, like being directionally accurate. You might have heard the term like we've been directionally accurate versus specifically inaccurate. So like I want to be good, have a good direction, but I don't want to lose myself in going too specific.
Hmm.
And I think with the overall mission of helping people uh, overcome the distractions in the world, I think like having that sense of direction will help me um, pivot in ways that I might need to in during a certain
Hmm.
season of my life. So for me, this season of my life was really evident for me to uh, help people who are in the similar backgrounds that I have been, the veterans, the military, even the first responders. That's the direction I've been heading in. And I wouldn't have known that in the beginning. I wouldn't have realized that in the beginning. So, but who knows? I don't know what's going to take me 10 years from now, but I'm just trusting the process.
Cool, man. Well, I'm going to ask you an expansive question from there
Yeah.
then. So, I remember as you were talking about other service providers, I was thinking of one of my friends, Dwayne, who I met in North Bay. We used to do Tai Chi together.
Uh,
And he was a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Air Force, and he was
mm,
stationed in North Bay, Canada. There's quite a few guys. I think it was around NORAD or whatever. And and I remember him saying something that I never would thought because we all have our different views of the world and things, and I remember him saying he wanted to work himself out of a job. And he was talking about peace, from his perspective, so that we didn't need to have militaries in the same way that we do. And this was a long time ago, so a lot of things have happened and transpired since then. Um, I would like to know, what is your higher vision for our world? What would you like to see in our world, having been through the service that you've done and talked to other service providers? Yeah,
yeah,
what is that for you?
good question. For me, I think it's truly finding peace within ourselves without the noise of the world.
Hmm.
I think, like I said, it's very it relates heavily with the distractions that we face in the world because like
Hmm.
we're always bombarded with noise
Yeah.
and trying to be able to find signal within the noise with to be able to truly know ourselves and know what direction we want to go, void of anything that the world tells you. Because I think what we look for the world to get answers and get truth and get knowledge. But if we're always looking to the world instead of ourselves and what we truly want
Mm-mm.
and what truly lights us up, what truly fulfills us,
Hmm.
even if it's not the most popular thing, even if it's not the most uh trending thing, because a lot of the popular chasing the noise, chasing the popularity, chasing all the trends, to me, it's it's fine. Like it's not going to bring true fulfillment. Like you've probably seen this a lot with a lot of celebrities, with a lot of people who've gone into fame and then they lose themselves because of it.
Yeah.
because they've tied a lot of their identity, going back to the identity, to status, to money, to fame. And that's not like you might find you might it might be pleasurable in a moment and in a year or 5 years, but it's not. You realize long term, like you realize once you've been in the thick of it, it's not going to bring you
Mm.
true joy. It's not going to bring you true fulfillment. It's not going to give you the answers that you've really been looking for.
Mm. I
So
think there's a lot of profound depth in what you're sharing, and I do feel like when we know who we truly are, that does bring a level of peace that can never be fulfilled by any kind of worldly security that we would associate peace with, whether it's having a fortress or a infinite bank account or anything. I feel like when we really truly know who we really are and who our creator is, and we have
yeah,
that connection,
yeah,
um, it's it, I love that, and I love how simple that vision of our world is because it leaves like you were saying earlier, it's a good direction, but it leaves room for everyone to have their own unique experience. It's not like saying everyone's gonna be singing "Kumbaya" at the same time and holding hands. Is like we're all going to be um, listening to that inner voice that is telling us what our passion is. Maybe you're an inventor and you feel called to do something that's never been done, or maybe you do want to have a life of service where you just support a family and or a nanny, or maybe you want to climb mountains and you just are obsessed with climbing mountains and you want to set new standards of what's possible for humans or whatever. I feel like that's that there's a lot of peace that comes from that kind of philosophy and approach. So on that note, Brandon, um, how can people connect with you and go deep for a deeper exploration into connecting with who they really are and developing some of
yeah,
these skills of eliminating distraction? What's the best way to
absolutely.
connect?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I am a school community owner, so you can primarily find me on the platform. Uh, yeah, you can search my community called Mental Momentum. Um, so you can find me there. You can find me on YouTube, at Brandon Smith X, primarily for veterans, and first responders. I make content for them, whether it be for discipline, for focus, for um, even faith, and so I lean into to a lot of those aspects. So you can find me there on YouTube and on school. But yeah,
That's amazing. We'll certainly put that in the show notes as well, Brandon. Um, I always love asking our inspired guests, if you had a megaphone and you could talk to everybody all at the same time and everyone could hear you, what would you share?
Hmm. You are valued in this world. You're valued. The
Hmm.
reason why I say that is because like when we look to other things in this world to tie our worth or value, and if we don't have that, like what intrinsic worth do we really have? And I think you talked about knowing who we are and who our creator is. Our creator and that has brought us into this world, he that if we look to him, if we look to our creator, that I've been really reflecting on this a lot, really reflecting on this, that you are truly loved, you are truly valued, and like you have such amazing worth as a human being. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter who who loves you. It doesn't matter your bank account. It doesn't matter the followers you have on social media. It does not matter. You are
Hmm.
loved. You are valued. You are worth it, and you have something to provide for this world. You have a purpose. Everyone has a purpose. That no one's here by accident. No one's here by accident. You're here and you're called for something. So yeah.
Oh, I love that, man. And to me, it's a really important message in a day and age where materialistic science has kind of made it seem as though everything is just some random accident from some random big bang, and it's just chemistry somehow made the first cell and made had the first thing, and it's to me it's such an impoverished way of thinking. It leads right to nihilism. It's like, well, everything's just random,
Mhm.
that I don't matter because we're just a speck in this larger cosmos. So why don't I just and then when I die, I go into nothing. So nothing matters. It's a very easy, slippery slope. And I think what you just shared is um, so needs to be heard. So I love that. You are valued, you are worth it. And when people understand that they're intrinsically loved just for being, what a shift of a whole world. Like that paradigm
Mhm.
is just so needed. So really
Yeah.
appreciate your perspective, Brandon. I look forward to seeing how you grow and develop in terms of being a community builder, in terms of really uplifting service providers worldwide, right? Because school is a worldwide platform, so you're going to have access in different ways and to connecting with people. So I really encourage our listeners to check out Brandon's community. Is it still called Mental Momentum,
Yes,
Brandon?
sir, it is.
Okay,
Yep.
Mental Momentum on school. We'll share a link in our description as well. Really appreciate having you on the show, brother. Uh, before I invite our daughter Luciana to thank us all for watching and to give us a little laugh, is there anything you'd like to share with our audience?
I think everything I've already shared is if you're watching this, if you received anything, it's for you. It's for you. Even though I like primarily serve the military and first responders, all that, if you're listening to this, if you've heard anything from what I've said about value and worth, that you're worth it, you're valued. That's that's it. No matter what you do, no matter who you think you are, who other people think you are.
Hmm. It's an awesome message, man. Like truly awesome, and I think certainly a message that um, I needed to hear. Because especially, it's funny with entrepreneurs, we can go through these periods of like where we don't have the traction and things don't seem to be
Yeah.
going. It's like, what value do
Yep.
I even have in this world?
Right.
And when you don't have that regular, consistent paycheck or someone telling you these are your tasks to do and you have to figure it out on your own, it's like,
Yeah.
I really appreciate who you are, Brandon. It's really important, and you encouraged me in a lot of ways as well. And that's the beautiful thing of community. We encourage one another. So cheering you on, man. I look forward to seeing you grow into a whole new expansive role, especially with your renewed focus on service providers. So, blessings to all, to you, all your loved ones, and all those who you touch, Brandon, and also to all of our listeners out there. Um, just echo those words and sit and contemplate them, wonder about them, what Brandon shared today. Think about your worth and your inherent love and your inherent value. I think that's just awesome, man. So thank you again for coming on the show. Really appreciate
Thank
you.
you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right. Well, I'm gonna invite Luciana up here, and to everyone, have a wonderful rest of your day. And I'm just gonna sign off. Have a wonderful day, Brandon. Talk to you later, man.
For watching.
Thank you, Roxton.
Say have a great day.
Have a good day.
I love you.
I love you.
See you soon.
Soon.
Hey, bye. Bye, Joel. Mwah.
Whee!